As I know life is a little bit expensive right now, but one of the ways you can save yourself a little bit of money, change your own brakes. So today, change some brakes with me. I won't be doing the entire brakes, only the pads, but the rotors aren't that much different. You just smack them with a hammer, take them off, and put new rotors on. To start, you want to break all these nuts loose before you lift the tire off the ground. Let gravity be your friend, otherwise it's going to be really hard and the tire will spin while you're trying to get these up. Next, you're going to want to jack the car up before taking the wheel completely off. You're going to want to go ahead and throw a jack stand down, and I also throw the tire underneath just for a little more safety, just so the whole weight of the car isn't sitting on the jack. So I like to get my wheel turned so my caliper is a little more accessible. Once you have it this way, you're going to want to get the caliper off the brake assembly, and you do that with getting these two 14mm bolts off of it. So once these two bolts are off, grab a screwdriver, flathead preferably, get in here and just kind of work that caliper off. You take it off, hang it out of the way, just because you don't want it hanging down. You're going to put too much pressure on that brake hose. So from here it only gets easier. You're going to want to go ahead and pop off your old pads. Here's one. Here's two. Next you're going to want to pop out your slide pins. Just be careful. You don't want to break this little rubber housing over here. So there's two slide pins, one for the top, one for the bottom. Once you get them up, wipe them off, and then you're going to put some new caliper grease on it, or some kind of coating to keep them nice and fresh and lubricated. Alright, with your pins all lubed up, throw them back in. Nice. I like to give them a little twist. So make sure they're in there nice. Next, we're going to go ahead and take off our caliper bracket. It's going to be two 17mm bolts on the back over here. So here's a closer look at them. Here's one on the bottom, one on the top. Just some advice ahead of time. These ones tend to seize a lot. So if you can, hit them with some PB Blast or something to loosen them up. Get that rust away before you take them off. Once you take those off, you'll be able to pull your caliper bracket off. And I just like to take this hardware off. Just pop it out of place. It's not too hard. And now it's time for some cleaning. Yes, you have to clean. Grab a wire brush and just try to clean the surface off a little bit. Mine isn't too grimy, but a lot of people, if you haven't taken your wheel off in a long time, it's going to be some buildup here. Take a wire brush, get into these little contact surfaces where your hardware is going to lay. Just kind of clean them out so it's nice and flush and flat, so nothing's too gritty. You want your pads to lay perfectly flat so that they're not lifting and the wear isn't uneven. Now I'm not changing my rotor, I'm just going to clean it off a little bit. But if you were, you'd want to hit it with a hammer a couple times, just try and loosen it and pull it off. Once you pull it off, take the same wire brush and clean the wheel hub. You want everything to be clean and flush. Again, I'm not doing that because I'm not changing my rotor, but if you're changing your rotor, that's one extra step for you. If you're like me though and you're not changing your rotor, take some brake clean, go ahead and spray some brake clean on it. Just wipe all that rust off. It dries pretty fast in air. I just like to get the grime off. Yes, let it drip, let it sit for a while. I just want to get all that grime off. You can see my rotor surface is still pretty damn good. The reason why I'm not changing my rotors is because I'm good about changing my pads, so my rotors never really get that worn out. They get rust on it from, everyday wear and tear, but they never really get messed up. So change your brake pads on time. So after I clean my contact surfaces, I like to take a little bit of lube. Just put a touch onto those contact surfaces, just to help it sit well. Just like that. You don't need too much. Just a tad. Now you're gonna grab your hardware that you took off. Here's my old ones. Most brake kits will come with some new ones. I'm probably gonna use the new ones. Throw it back on there, and then we're gonna put the bracket back onto the knuckle. So to put the hardware back on, you just take it, line it into place, and just give it a squeeze until you hear it click. Just like that. Do the same thing for the bottom. That's it. Alright, gonna line our bracket back up. Throw those bolts back in. And once you throw the bolts in, if you want to do the job right, you're gonna want to torque it to spec. So on my car, it's 88 foot-pounds for the caliper bracket bolts. Yours might be different. Again, like I said, check on Google. It will let you know. And you just want to torque it until you hear a little click from the torque wrench. When you hear that click, that's how you know you're on spec. Now you just want to go ahead and throw your new pads on. Inner pad is in, wear indicator is on the bottom. Take the outer pad. I couldn't show you in the back, but you line it up to these little holes right here. One on the top, one on the bottom, and just glide it in. Now that our pads are on, we're gonna go to our caliper, and we have to kind of compress these caliper pistons in. Before you compress the piston though, open up your hood, go and unscrew your reservoir, your brake fluid reservoir cap, just so too much pressure doesn't build up in there when you're compressing the piston. So to compress the piston, there's a couple ways you can do it. I use one of the old brake pads. I'm gonna line it up where it should be, and I'm gonna use a C-clamp. And I'm just gonna roll the C-clamp in until these pistons go completely in. For Subarus, they use a dual piston kind of setup. That's why I put the old pad here, so that it's an even force pushing both pistons in at the same time. Otherwise, if you do it one by one, when you push one in, the other might pop out. So kind of just put a flat surface here and compress both at the same time. So this is my setup. They do make caliper compression tools. I have one upstairs, but a C-clamp works pretty good too. So I'm just gonna tighten the C-clamp up. And what it's doing is slowly compressing those pistons in. Once those caliper pistons are compressed, put the caliper back onto the knuckle, put the pins back in. Remember, these are the first ones we took out, the 17s. And that, boys and girls, is how you do some brake pads. Not hard at all. It takes like 20 minutes, if that, honestly. Now put your tire back on. Make sure you torque your tire bolts to spec. You don't want that falling off. Do the same thing for the other side, and you're good to go. Make sure you tighten this back up. Once you get both parts done, you want to get in the car. You're going to feel like the brakes are loose because we did contract those pistons. So pump the brakes until the pistons come back out and make contact with the pads again. Take the car on the drive. Go moderately fast. Give some good stops. Do that a couple times. Break the brakes in. Make sure the pads are gripping well. And you're good to go. Save yourself some bucks. See you in the next vid.